Welcome to Truckee Talks. I'm your host, Maya Schneider. On today's show, we've got an interesting show. Our guests, actually two of our guests anyway, are visiting us from a foreign country, and our third guest is going to tell us why and how. It's our very big pleasure to introduce Beverley Johnson. Beverley, nice to have you on the show.
Thanks for having me.
And you're the president of the local chapter of American Field Services.
That's correct.
Okay, tell us about what is AFS?
It's a foreign exchange student organization, began actually during World War I and started out as ambulance drivers. And from the war, these guys saw a lot of the destruction and the horrors of war and tending wounded soldiers. And so after the Second World War, they decided, let's do something to promote world peace, let's promote world culture, let's establish an exchange student organization. And so this is what they came up with.
Well, we're going to come back to you with some more questions, but I want to introduce our other two guests. We have Christian Wolf from Germany. Christian, nice to have you here on the show. Nice to have you here in the country. And Oy, I'm going to slaughter your last name, Ulvar from Norway. All right, welcome, Oy. Nice to have you on the show as well.
Thank you.
And welcome also to Truckee and to America. Well, Beverley, what made you get involved with this exchange student program?
My husband and I hosted our first student in '93. Actually, I was a foreign exchange student, and I had a great time, and I thought, wouldn't it be nice to reciprocate that? So we hosted our first student in '93, and we've hosted 5 total.
Since then? Now, do you have children of your own?
No, we have no children.
So you adopt a child for a year and then send them back?
Send them home.
And how long do they stay with you?
Typically, the kids, they can sign up for a semester, or they can come for the full year, which ends up being around 11 months by the time they come and go.
And when you were in an exchange student program, where did you go?
I went to Mexico.
And how was that?
It was great. I had a great time. I wish I could remember the language, but
You're right.
It was a long time ago.
Just enough to find the beach and order a margarita. Well, Christian, let's start with you. Where in Germany do you hail from?
I'm actually from all the way in the south, like south of Munich, about 1.5 hours. It's about a mile to Austria. You can almost walk over the border. And right in the Alps, great mountains and skiing.
And when did you arrive in Truckee?
August 10th.
So if you're near the Alps, it's sort of familiar territory to be in the Sierra Nevada.
Yeah.
Does it feel like home? Or?
Kind of. Like
Except nobody here is speaking German.
Yeah. Well, I've met a bunch of people that speak German here. Yeah.
And how's your experience been?
It's been great. It's been a lot of fun and a lot of great people.
And you're going to school here at Truckee Tahoe High School?
Right here.
Oy, how about you? Tell us about your hometown.
My hometown, I live right outside Oslo, the capital of Norway, and it's about 20 minutes outside with a car. So.
And is it a large town or small or?
It's not really a large town. Oslo is a large town, but not my town. It's pretty small.
What did you know about Truckee before you got here? What were you expecting?
I didn't know anything at all. I kind of figured it was high up in the mountains, but that's all I knew.
That's all you knew? You didn't know how big it was? Or?
No.
How about you, Christian?
Well, when I first heard about it, that was about a week before I left, that I was going to stay here in Truckee. I kind of brought out the atlas and looked it up. And
you could find it in an atlas?
Yeah, and it was in the mountains, and then my dad told me it's a great skiing area. Great skiing areas around, so I was kind of pumped on that.
So did you choose Truckee, or did somebody else choose Truckee?
No, you can't choose Truckee. You can't anything. You can choose your country, but that's about it. You don't have any control over where you're going to be placed. Like not even the state or the region.
So it was luck of the draw, and you ended up in the ski town.
Yeah, it was like just perfect. Yeah.
Beverley, how many families are involved in this in Truckee?
We usually try to host anywhere from 1 to 2 kids a year. Sometimes we've had more than that. The families this year, by the way, I'd like to publicly thank them for hosting this year. Christian is staying with Richard and Chris Spencer, and Oy is staying with Mike and Susie Phoebus, and I'd like to thank them for opening their homes and hearts to these students.
Well, now, Beverley, you've had how many students? You said 5?
5, yeah.
What is that like for you? Do you maintain relations with these kids once they go back to their home country?
Absolutely. We email all the time. We've had one. Our first son came back and visited us last summer. My husband and I are planning to go and visit. We hosted 2 girls from Russia, and we're planning to go to Russia next year and visit both of them. So yeah, you extend your family globally.
Well, tell us a little bit about the function or the structure of AFS. How does it work? How do students sign up? Do they go through some kind of screening process?
Yes, both. There are two functions. One are we send American kids abroad, and then we host foreign exchange students here. So the process is pretty similar for both. The families have to fill out applications, as do the students if they're going to go abroad. They go through a home interview, and we go to the home, we try to figure out, we're interviewing the entire family because we want to find out what are their family dynamics, what are their rules, what's their lifestyle, so that we can try to match a kid that's going to fit in to that type of environment. The kids that go abroad have one further step. They are required to go to a weekend orientation, which is the final screening process of whether they're at that point they're looked at to consider if they're a candidate for the program.
How are the expenses handled? If you're hosting a child for a year, that can be expensive.
Yes, it can. The host family is responsible for, basically, they become the guardian of that student. They're responsible for room and board. Some of these students come from wealthy families and come with a lot of money in their pockets. Others come from very poor families and come with $200 or less. That's supposed to last them the entire year. So we sit down with the families prior to the student coming and kind of coach them with a list. Here's what you need to discuss with your student and figure out what you're going to pay for and what you expect them to pay for, so that there's no misunderstanding, no hard feelings, and everybody's kind of on the same page.
Well, let's get back to our exchange students and find out a little bit more about your experience. First of all, America has sort of permeated all of the Western cultures. If you travel abroad, you'll find a lot of American institutions, for better or for worse, in other places. What was different from your expectations when you got here? Christian, I'll start with you.
It was kind of like California, and then I heard skiing. That kind of like didn't fit together
Palm
somehow.
trees and beaches
and now I end up in a climate just like where I live, as cold as where I live, and it's been great, but so far, yeah.
What about the culture? Was there anything here that surprised you, or?
No, not really, because we get a lot of information about the people here in like Hollywood and the movies, and it's pretty big in Germany. Like, we take everything from America and give something back. And
boy, I would sure hope that you're not taking all of America from Hollywood, or we're all in trouble. Boy, how about you?
Well, it's pretty much the same thing. We know a lot about America before we come over here because we're pretty Americanized over there. You're like our idols. We copy everything you do.
Oh, stop. Well, what of your culture did you bring here? What have you been sharing with your host family that may be different for them?
First of all, the language, which is really different. Just my name is totally different.
I can get to your first name. I'm not sure I'd ever learn how to pronounce your last name.
That's his nickname. So, say your full name for him.
Øystein Løvdahl Ulvær.
Okay, well, I'm really glad that wasn't on my notes here.
That should explain the most about language.
Yes.
But other stuff like foods and clothing is pretty different.
Are there any customs that you miss, things that you did at home in Norway that you don't get to do here? Or?
Not really, since it's pretty much the same climate, except it's so warm in the summer over here. But we do basically the same things.
Yeah, we have much longer days in the summer than you have back at home, I think. Well, what do you think you'll gain from this? What do you hope to gain from this?
Definitely a whole bunch of people, a bunch of new friends, the language, communication skills. You gotta know how to like talk to people if you come over here.
Do you have brothers and sisters at home?
I have one brother. He's 19.
And has he been an exchange student?
Yeah, he was an exchange student 2 years ago in Texas.
In Texas? So you're going to go home and say, yeah. That's not very nice. Oh, how about you? Any brothers or sisters at home?
Yes, I have a 19-year-old brother too, and he also went to Texas 2 years ago.
No! Did the two of you know
No.
each other? Did you meet through any AFS?
No.
We met over here.
That's amazing. So are you going to go home and tease your brother too, that he ended up in
Definitely.
Texas and you ended up in Truckee? Well, that at least makes the rest of us Truckeeites feel a little bit better about that. Beverly, let's talk a little bit about students from here going abroad. What do they need to know before they leave, and what do their families need to know and expect?
They need to be at least a B student to qualify. It's kind of an expensive program. You can go for a semester or a year, and the price range is somewhere between $5,000 and $6,000, which it takes care of everything. It's your airfare, your orientations, the paperwork. Sorry?
Insurance.
Yeah, insurance, those kind of things. We also have a program for graduates, high school graduates, anywhere between 18 and 24. And these programs are geared more toward like community service type things. And they're for a shorter period of time, 3 months, 4 months, that sort of thing. But basically, it's a matter of, if you have an interest, filling out an application, going through the interview process, and then to the final screening process.
Well, we've talked a little bit about what people should expect if they're hosting or if they're sending abroad. What sort of criteria are you looking for in a host family? I mean, you say family, you and Steve are single parent, or not single parents, you're what am I saying here?
Kids.
Family without children, right?
Yes, right.
Double income, no kids is what we used to call that.
Dinks.
The dinks. Is there any kind of criteria that AFS is looking for in terms of host families? Can there single people be a host?
Absolutely. We have placed kids in single parents, divorced, married. You don't need to have children. You can have small children. You can have children the same age. You can work crazy hours, as does his host mother. So we're basically looking for a family that is loving, is interested, that wants to expand their global knowledge, because not only are these kids coming here and learning about our culture, but we learn about theirs. It's an equal exchange.
It's a great exchange, a great learning experience. Okay, we're going to take a break right now. When we come back, we'll be talking more with our guests about American field studies and exchange students. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the show. We're talking about exchange student programs, and we have Oy, Beverly, and Christian here on the show. Nice to have you back. Beverly, we'll start off with you for this part of the show. You've had several students now hosted in your home. Tell us some stories about that. What was that like? What were some funny stories you can think of, or touching stories you can think of?
Well, they've all been very different and unique kids. You get very attached, number one.
Yes.
It's really hard to say goodbye. I guess I have to go to the Russians, because when you think about it, it's pretty much, Russia's pretty much third world country, and so much for them, unlike these two, was totally new for them. And I just think about this little road trip that I took with Lisa. She'd only been here a couple of days. It was at nighttime, and you know what do you call those things in the road the
reflectors?
The reflectors, thank you. Couldn't think of that.
And your husband works for Public Works?
He does roads, I don't do roads. Anyway, these reflectors, she was looking at it, she's going, oh my God, what are those? What are they made of? Why are those gold? Why are those blue? Why are those white? And I'm going, oh my God, you don't have these things. She's going, no. And the first time she saw a road, an overpass that actually went over the freeway, it was like blew her mind. She couldn't believe that those things existed. And she was from Moscow, which is like the biggest city in Russia.
And a fairly cosmopolitan city.
Yes, yes. And so much was new for them that it was kind of like, sometimes it was kind of like having a small child, because they asked a million questions. And she was a very inquisitive person. So it was fun. It was challenging at times, but it was absolutely fun.
Have you gone back to visit any of the children
Not
that you
yet,
hosted?
next year.
But you have plans. Where are you going next year?
We're going to go to Russia.
Russia. That's great. Although I wouldn't drive in Moscow if they don't know anything about reflectors or overpasses.
Trains.
Yeah, trains, cabs. Okay, Oy and Christian, I understand that both of you are involved in the video production course that's taught here at the high school. In fact, Channel 6 that puts on this show. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Yeah. And you've both produced a tape to show here tonight?
Yeah.
All right, well, we're going to do that right now. Oy, we're going to start with yours. Tell us a little bit about your video before we go to it.
It's just a little picture collage with pictures from Norway, from some cities from the Olympics in '94, and some nice the landscape shots.
And what do you hope to do with this video? Share it with friends and family?
Basically, I was hoping to get a good grade, and that's it. But I don't know. We'll
And
see.
how do you, well, maybe we should take a look at the video and let you know what we think
Yeah.
your grade's going to be. All right, well, let's go to Oi's video first and see how that looks. Oi, that was terrific. Congratulations. That's a great video.
Thank you.
I don't want to bias John Eccles, but it looks like an A video to me. I absolutely get a good grade on that. There were some images in there that were just striking, really, really beautiful pictures. Where did you find this? Did you bring those from home?
I
or?
had a book about Norway that I brought to show my host family.
So tell us about the troll-like creatures at the end of that. What were those?
They're trolls.
They are
basically.
trolls.
They are trolls, and that's a pretty big thing in Norway.
Did trolls come from Norway? Pardon my ignorance here.
Norwegians like to think that.
Well, we don't know if it's true or not, but
No.
it looks like it. All right. Okay, Christian, you produced a video as well. Tell us about your video.
It's just basically about my town and where I go to school, and just to like give the people here an impression how my country looks like, and yeah.
And does yours have music as well?
Yeah, it does.
And how did you pick the music?
I just was looking
Going
for
for that A
sounds.
grade again. All right, well, let's cue Christian's video and let's see how that looks. Beautiful. Christian, great job. I'd say that's another A video. Really great.
you.
And beautiful images. What a tremendous neighborhood you grew up in. Tell us, we saw some pictures there of a village or a small town at the base of the mountains. Is that your town?
That's my town. You could actually see my house in the video. It's right next to the big church.
You put a big red arrow.
Yeah.
I live
yeah.
here. Your town looks like it's in sort of a precarious place. Do you get avalanches at home?
Oh yeah, we get a lot of them. We just had a big one last year and took out a bunch of houses.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Do you have avalanche warning systems? Or
Yeah, actually that big mountain you saw, that's a big skiing area, and it doesn't get prepared or groomed or anything, so avalanches just kind of get taken out from like the avalanche police, and then you can just have free skiing. Like,
right.
It's like a 7-mile powder run, so it's terrific.
Okay, I just heard a lot of people in Truckee going to their telephones to buy tickets to get to their town. And also you had an image of a castle towards the end there. Tell us about that.
That's Castle Neuschwanstein. It was
very
built,
famous.
Yeah, by Ludwig the 14th, I think.
Right.
And
On the top of
a lot of Americans go there.
Yes, yeah.
Pretty popular.
And that's close to your home.
Yeah, it's about an hour.
Beautiful country.
Yeah.
Very, very nice. Do you miss your home?
Sometimes, yeah. But it's great here too. I mean, Lake Tahoe is certainly one of the most beautiful spots in the world. So.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
And I miss things in Germany, but I got other things here to do, so.
And this isn't a lifetime
yeah.
thing, you know, that you'll be going home.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oi, how about you? Anything that you miss in Norway, and especially looking at your video today? Is there anything there you'd like to?
Well, I do miss, of course, friends and family.
Yes. Yeah.
But, you know, I'm having a good time over here, so I don't really have a big problem with being homesick.
Now, how was your experience transferring to a school here and attending school? How are the classes here different from at home? And you knew English clearly before you came here, so that wasn't a problem.
No, that wasn't a big problem, except some professional terms I didn't know. But the differences in school is we only have 45-minute classes. That was the biggest difference I noticed at first.
And the classes here are?
90.
90 minutes.
90,
It's been a while since I've been in school. I've forgotten. I am sorry. How about you, Christian? Any big differences between school in Germany and school here?
I think the teachers and the students, they have a lot better relationship here than in Germany. Or like, it's like on a friendship basis.
It's more formal.
Yeah, and like in Germany, it's like, oh, here comes the teacher. You got to watch out now, because they're like authority, people of authority, and you want to respect them more.
Well, yeah, and we hope the same is true here, but maybe not.
Well, it's not
authoritarian. It's more authoritative, which could be a little bit different. Beverley, what can you recommend to anybody who's interested watching the show and thinking, gee, I'd like to host a student, or gee, I think my child would be a good candidate to send abroad? What would you tell them, first of all? What should they know, and then who should they contact?
They can contact either myself, and I think that they're going to be showing, giving my phone number. Also, the student advisor at the high school is Miss Peel. They could contact her. We do have pamphlets and applications that they can fill out, and once they've done that, they can contact us and we can start the process rolling.
And as far as how would you prepare them? I mean, how would you, what do you find out as an exchange student parent that you wouldn't have known until you actually went through the experience?
I think the student has to be fairly outgoing. They have to be, they have to kind of learn to go with the flow. They have to be prepared that where they're going may not be as sophisticated as the country that they're coming from. Some of the students that have gone abroad, for example, we had 2 kids go to Costa Rica. One was in a family where the shower was an outdoor shower, only cold water. They had to wear uniforms to school, and they had to wash them every day. And she shared a room with 3 other siblings, very small house. Another student went to a family who was extremely wealthy, had her own room, a maid, a cook, chauffeur. So you just never know what you're going, where you're going to be placed, the type of family you're going to be with. So they need to be prepared for that. And the culture, I would do some research on that country, whatever country they pick. They should definitely know some of the history. You don't need to know the language. We've had kids go to other countries and not know one single word of that language, and it's just amazing that they come home and they're somewhat fluent in the language. I mean, they're not going to be using, you know, $30 words, but they're going to be able to communicate and get their point across and be understood.
Oh, let's start with you on this question. I want to ask both of you. When you go home after this experience, what would you explain to other kids who might be interested in going abroad? How would you relate your experience to them?
Well, I would, of course, tell them that it really is a great experience, and it's something that you just have to decide to do. You can't just think about too much about how it's going to be, because
you don't know.
You cannot have any clue,
yeah.
no matter what. So
yeah.
It's a risk you have to take. I mean, you might not like it, but it's definitely worth it. Definitely.
Christian, how about you? Any words of advice for kids who might be considering this?
It's just a great advantage over other people, like looking for a job that is actually to do with languages. And you just can say you spend a year in a foreign country and you kind of speak the language fluently. That helps you a lot, and it's just a great experience. You gain so many new friends. In the month I've been here, I've gained like tons of friends. It's a great experience.
Well, in Beverley, we've got to be sharing their experiences with the kids they're meeting here has got to be enriching their lives as well. So the other students that Christian and Oi are interacting with are getting the benefit of having kids from another country here.
Yeah, that's the idea. I certainly hope so.
And that's the whole idea behind the exchange. All right, well, it's been a great show. Beverley, thank you so much. Christian, Oi, good luck on your rest of your time here, and congratulations on winning Truckee in the lottery. I think you did good, and we're glad to have you both here. Beverley, thanks again so much.
Thank you.
What you do is a great thing.
Thanks.
And again,